It's March the 31st, 2015, and this is the audio podcast, show 147, Liquid Sonic Event.
Hey! Yeah, and it's not April Fool's, because that's tomorrow. This is a real, honest show, full of fact and interest. My name's Adam Yench, and of course, we were just introduced by Scott Hewitt. Hey, Scott.
Hello, Adam.
No Sam today, not sure where he is, so we're just going to kind of keep going. You know, we've got our normal standard setup of some news, but no feature today, and some Plunder, and of course you can follow our notes at the audiopodcast.co.uk/show/147, which has all the links to the various stories and whatnot. So I think we should get started.
All right then. So first up in the news is a announcement from Jay-Z, which is Jay-Z recently acquired a couple of weeks ago an audio streaming service called Tidal, which I think is very kind of European mainland focused and not particularly. It had the licensing agreements in place, but I think that's essentially the thing it had going for it. He's actually bought it and then done and essentially completely relaunched it with the kind of help that when you're somebody like Jay-Z you can call upon. So Kanye West, Beyonce, and various other people to do this.
And interestingly, probably the key name in their roster of artists is Taylor Swift, who has been very vocal about not wanting to be on Spotify, not wanting to be on these other streaming services. So they must have cut a decent deal to get that one done. But yeah, I mean, I suppose the other thing about this is I remember reading that it's a high-quality music service.
Yes, so I think the intention was that it will be a high-quality music service, and secondly has a far higher entry level. I think it's like £20 a month or so is the kind of starting streaming package on it.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm like, when we say high quality, we mean like audio quality, not quality of music. And it says it aims to provide CD quality streaming. Now, I don't really know what that means, you know, because they're obviously not going to be broadcasting WAVs at your face at 1644.1. So
take a WAV to the face.
So I guess we're thinking about some kind of higher bitrate MP3 type audio that they must be sending across. But yeah, notable in that. I suppose it's also a competitor to Beats as well, is it not? What is Beats? Well, is Beats just a music store?
The Beats streaming service, yeah, and there's also Beatport as well. Which we talked about a couple of weeks ago here as well.
Of Dr. Dre, aren't I? So basically, Dr. Dre and Jay-Z are going head-to-head in the music streaming service space.
Yeah. So I'd say that it's a FLAC. It's actually streaming FLAC. Is the intention behind it? It suggests it's going to be FLAC at 1,411 kilobits per second. So that's the equivalent of 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz.
Okay.
So that's as opposed to, say, a high-quality AAC streaming service, which would be running at 320k.
Mm-hmm.
If you could, perhaps you could think of somebody who streams like that.
It's an interesting way to go, I suppose. If you've got an internet connection, I mean, how does that compare to like a Netflix standard definition stream? Would you say?
Well, it's a little bit less than Netflix is incredibly adaptive, actually. It's really tough to know what you're streaming through Netflix, because essentially it will stream the highest possible quality you can get away with, and then when it starts to fall behind it starts to scale back quickly, which is, I'm sure everybody who's got a Netflix account has seen the classic, it kind of looks like we're looking through something through a bathtub, and then it suddenly gets crystal clear again, and that's exactly what. That's what's happening.
Because they also have an HD service, which only certain people can actually use because it's so powerful. I don't know what that means, to be honest. So that Tidal, if you're interested, you know.
Yeah. So there's a 7-day free trial that you can check out, and it's available within European Union countries and the States, and also South Africa and Switzerland.
I was
Kong
going
as
to
well.
say, if you're interested, just hit up Jay-Z on Twitter and just say, hey buddy, can I try out your system? And he'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Here you go. But you're probably more correct. I think there's a more formal way of doing it.
And it's $19.99 a month in the UK.
Okay, it's 20 quid. So
yeah. So there has been. So while there's been a bit of a hoorah about this being a positive thing, there has been a few kind of negative features as well suggested. I think one of the big issues is that it has a additional revenue model for already popular artists. If that makes sense. So a play doesn't count as a play under this service. A play counts as a play plus an additional. Plus, if you have the ability to negotiate the contract, you get an additional payment as well. So it's a slightly different. It has a different kind of payment model to the other kind of tiers. So that's kind of
Okay.
There you go. So that's yeah. So it's quite interesting. I'm saying it's you know what I mean. There you go.
I love the way we're just kind of going. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's cool. You know what I mean. I'm saying we all know that streaming audio is. At the moment is a massive problem and is essentially broken for everybody other than the people consuming it for free, and it's there probably does need to be something else, but whether something else is just a slightly more expensive streaming service, I'm not quite sure.
I don't know, but let's put that aside.
All right then.
And give me the latest Audacity news.
The latest Audacity news. You should have said the latest news with Audacity. How about you've missed a story there though, Adam. But it was
right. Oh yeah, because I've done the old thing and haven't refreshed the page. Put the Audacity on hold for a minute and tell me about Native Instruments.
Native Instruments. So Native Instruments have announced. So Tidal's a new streaming service. Native Instruments have announced a new audio format. There we go. So, just what the world was crying out for, a new audio format has been released. So, first of all, the new Native Instruments audio format is called Stems. It's not really a new format; it's more a new convention around an existing format, which is to take the idea of an MP4 file, which supports multiple audio streams within it, and to have a convention about how those multiple audio streams will actually be used. So it's a clever idea. Essentially, what you get is channel 1 and channel 2 at the left-right stereo mix. So if you load it into any sort of standard MP4 playback and hit go, it will just play them back for you. There you go, standard stereo file. So that's pretty cool. But then in the other channels, what they're advocating is that you would actually communicate the actual stems of the track. So drum parts, bass parts, maybe the melody, maybe the vocal lines all come as independent parts. And the idea behind this being that people will be able to easily remix this material, use this material in other things, and predominantly you'll be doing that inside Native Instruments products.
Software. So obviously, Native Instruments products will support this new format, and it's an MP4 container. But does that mean it's a compressed type of file, or does it support high?
You can put anything you want inside an MP4 container. Yeah.
See now us audio people are having to deal with the complexity of the old video, because video's been like for years. Digital video is like container and this other thing, and it's just like I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Audio has always been simple because it's been okay. This is an AIF, this is a WAV, this is a FLAC, this is an MP3, and now, but it brings something, because I suppose video has video and audio components which are compressed in their own ways. In
their own ways, into their own different formats. Yeah.
So now we're gonna get a bit of that, but okay, this is cool. And I mean, for me, the interesting thing is that you could take it. It's a good format for remixing, not just for DJs who are live and wanting to maybe take the bass out of this bit of this tune, but they couldn't do it with an MP3 because you can't do that with an MP3 or with a WAV file straight up stereo.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but but also there's this other group of people who might find it interesting because they can take these tracks and do something else with them creatively.
yeah, but is this solving a problem that doesn't actually exist? Because I would suggest to you that the main problem when it comes to artists wanting to share the original stem mixes and stem parts of their mix isn't the lack of an audio format by which they could share these things, because that it's really easy to do a stem bounce down of inside any DAW environment. They all do that. It's more the fundamental fact that they don't want to.
Yeah, but I would say that because okay, so Native Instruments obviously have got a good foothold in the DJ space with their
Certainly,
tractor-based
yeah.
products. And also, the other thing to note is that this is not a proprietary standard. It's going to be openly licensed, so it's not like it's going to remain shackled to Native Instruments products because no one else can be bothered to take on the license because it costs money. So that's interesting. And you know what? I would imagine Native Instruments wouldn't just be like, let's just make a multi-stem audio format. I'm sure that they've got people who talk to them and say, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? That kind of thing. And you know what? Multi-channel audio files have been around for ages.
Yeah.
They've been around for ages. I mean, think about, you and I were big in Max. We used to do Maximus P and stuff. And you could record, how many was it? Maybe, I don't know, 8 or more channels into one file. But
Into one file, yeah.
it's just wider compatibility that stopped that being very useful. You had to basically make a Max patch that decoded it into separate files, so it kind of didn't really make a whole lot of sense to use it outside of Max. But maybe this will push forward this idea. Now, did you say something to me about like it being a good a thing for the creator, because they can offer a stereo version for people who just want the stereo version and a more expensive stems version?
Well, certainly when in the Native Instruments announcement for it, some of the informal chatter was orientated around the idea of being able to protect the retail value of products through this. The idea being that a lot of kind of DJ mixing tools are starting to add in support for Spotify and other streaming services. So right now there's a group of people. Right now there is the people buying vinyl who are obviously making a significant financial contribution to the industry. Then there are the people who are buying MP3 and AAC who are probably making some sort of contribution. But in the very near future, there's a lot of concern that it's going to switch almost entirely to the streaming services. At which point, there's then that: how will the independent kind of dance producers survive based on their royalty check from Spotify, as an illustration? So this is why not? You could push this out from you could use stems and sell this as the format. So rather than sell the standard stereo mix, you sell the stemmed out elements of it instead as an add-on purchase or stuff like that, which does make sense. I'm saying, as a basic approach, it has the advantage of, Spotify, if they wanted to stream a stem file, would have to stream six audio files at the same time, which would increase their bandwidth bill significantly. So it's not like you're going to see it streamed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
You see what I mean?
It's pointless streaming a multi-channel, a multi-stem.
Well, it's not pointless. You could see, in the same way that the stem file will be cool to work with, you could see how if you wanted to play it in real time, then streaming it would be cool. But at the same point, streaming it would be incredibly, would be what, 3 times more expensive than the standard version.
It'll be intensive on on
Yep.
the whole streaming system. Although, you know, in 5 years' time we'll probably be able to do it.
Oh yeah, it'd be negligible at that point.
Everyone should have 1 gigabit per second internet, and it won't be a problem or something.
I think it's cool. I've always been interested. I've for a long time, and Adam and I, we've been actually doing something about this in a different context, which we don't go. I mentioned in passing, but we won't say maybe any more about. But for a while we've been investigating the idea of file formats, because I'm of the opinion that the profitability of the industry can be saved through reconsidering the thing we're selling, and as the thing we're selling is now files, that means the file format is the fundamental block. Whether native instrument stems is the right thing, I suspect it's. I don't know how much traction this is going to get, purely just because of the fact that while native instruments have taken the great decision to go open licensing, free licensing with it, and open formatting, which I think is a great approach, I worry that perhaps their dance music orientation is going to be so strong that they might end up with a format which ends up in a niche area, which is cool. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. This could be the way.
I'm sure Native Instruments don't mind so much about that, because their prime products are about dance or EDM music and that kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. That's cool.
So that's not too much of a problem. Now, I wonder if in the future a particular audio editor could offer editing of such a multi-channel format. Maybe not today, but there is a new update to Audacity.
Indeed so. Audacity 2.1.0 has been released. The highlights of the new release are spectral. You can now make spectral selections within the spectrogram view. That made me think immediately of SoundHack. I thought that was cool. Also, you can have the noise reduction has been improved significantly. There's also now real-time preview for effects, and the effects can now be used in chains. There's also some additional preset support for FX chains as well. The beauty of Audacity, it's basically available to run on everything. Though if you want a recent version, you have to get to 10.4 and above, or XP Service Pack 3, 32 bits.
Okay, that's fine. So you've got to make sure that your version of Windows XP is not like about 10 years old or something.
Yeah, basically.
You see, I know that you love your old operating system, Scott, but I think we can. It'll be nice when XP is finally dead.
Oh, definitely so. That's pretty fine. So beauty of Audacity, it's obviously available. It's available now, though. Having said that, I tried to put it onto my Ubuntu machine, and it wasn't inside the Ubuntu. It wasn't inside apt-get for Ubuntu. And when I did a quick build, I was going to build it. But when I started building it, I started getting a couple of dependencies which I didn't have on my machine, and at that point I lost interest.
Yeah, it's the perennial problem with a Linux-based system.
Well, I get yes. It's just yes. You're right. I'm saying there we go. That's all there is to it. Distributing software on Linux takes time. It's just a bit more. Takes time. But it is now available. It looks pretty cool. I watched saw a couple of it looks cool. I'm sure it's a good option to go for. So that's 2.10 or 2.10. No, 2.10. There we go.
2.1.0.
Yeah, 2.1. Now there we go. Go Audacity. Woo!
You can find links to these news stories and more at the Audio Podcast website, the audiopodcast.co.uk/show/147. No feature this week, but Scott, go on, take a stab at what my camera is showing us this week.
Oh well, so I got no chance of doing this one. It's like sideways on, some sort of effects processing, but now that I'm speaking, it's gone small. A couple of faders. I haven't a clue, Adam. I'm sorry. This is.
Can't you tell from the fonts? Do the fonts help you in any way?
It's like is it like Roland or Yamaha?
Oh, it is a Roland. It's a Roland. And then look up in the top left there, and you can see, there's a little bit of white on black, kind of sticking out there.
Oh, I can see the outputs here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is a Roland SH01 Gaia
Ah, I've never got that in my life.
virtual analog synthesizer. Once you actually, if you look it up, you'll be like, oh, okay, it's that synthesizer.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah, so that's that.
I like them.
That's the feature this week. Amazing.
Amazing. A screenshot feature. Very nice. Very nice. Well, moving. Let's head into the plunder if that's okay. Arg.
Plunder. And the first plunder, I gotta say, I mean, I said to Scott, I don't really think this is plunder, but you know, fine, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
So I'll defend it. It is indeed plunder, Adam. No. Because it is a article which is a report of the early days of internet art. And while there is nothing intrinsically, while there aren't any intrinsic audio examples of it in the list, what it does have is a whole collection of events that happened on the internet, some of which have a couple of interesting kind of online real-world crossovers, like the King's Cross phone call game they played. And I thought it was quite interesting as to remind us that when the internet first arrived, there was a lot of the things that we now take as very obvious things to do, were at the time were pioneered through kind of artistic expression and artistic form. So I think our listeners will be interested. I'm sure we have a lot of listeners who are probably looking at that article and thinking, oh, that must be what happened last year. So, you know what I mean? It's what happened in the mid-90s. That's a lot further away, 20 years now. It's pretty impressive. I think it's cool.
The mid-90s.
I think it's cool. Something which is very much to do with audio, though you may have concerns from a different angle as to whether it actually qualifies as plunder or not, though, is an article from Cycling 74's blog, that's Cycling 74 forums that somebody wrote about the different methods of sending values in Macs.
Yeah, I mean, I had a look through this and I was blown away by how interested I was, and then I looked at Twitter.
Fantastic. I mean, the summary is really simple, which is you send and receive. There you go.
This is or directly connect your objects for the fastest.
Yeah.
The fastest performance. I mean, this is the kind of thing that also I've seen a bit on Stack Overflow, which is a computer programming Q&A site. It's a very good site where people tend to kind of run performance checks on stuff like how quick your JavaScript compiles, or not compiles because JavaScript doesn't compile, but runs and all this kind of stuff. And this is a geek who's just like, you know what? I'm just going to show everyone how geeky I am by going through a number of different ways of connecting objects and saying how fast they are. And I mean, it's fine, but generally it probably isn't a huge deal to most people. Come on.
I thought it was fun. There we go. I thought it was interesting. And then finally in our plunder, the rebirth of Krautrock.
Yes, now this is it's actually a BBC4 documentary. If you link through our notes, it's in a 5-parter on YouTube, so you know, kind of get watching. I think it looks like an hour-long type thing, and it basically kind of starts from the Second World War, end of the Second World War, when, you know, Germany lost the war and was in ruins and this kind of stuff, and it kind of charts the story going up through certain types of music that were around, you know, I guess in the 50s, 60s, and then the birth of Krautrock, which is seen as a very German kind of genre, I suppose a German formulation on prog rock almost. And you know, there's stuff about Tangerine Dream and interviews with the guys in that band and other people. Yeah, if you got a bit of time, give it a shot. That's what I say.
Awesome. There we go. And with that, we've made it to the end of the. We've made it to the end of the show.
Oh no!
Oh no! Well, we've Next Tuesday is the day after the Monday bank holiday. It sounds like very tenuous when you say it out loud like that. But
Yes.
is our suspicion to have a week off next week? Is that the?
Yeah, I think we'd come to that conclusion. So
I
no
agree.
audio podcast next week, but maybe the week following.
We will return
Or
the week following. Certainly.
maybe 2 weeks off, Scott. I mean, you know, we've had a pretty good run, I'd say.
Well, we have. Let's see. We're certainly not here next week, though. That's certainly the case. But maybe.
Yes. And of course, you know, if you're a podcast type person, it doesn't really matter because it'll pop up in your podcast reader. Of course, the audio podcast is available through such podcast services as Gpodder, Stitcher, iTunes, if you set it up through iTunes.
Yeah.
And also YouTube, where you get to see either our lovely faces or our lovely hardware.
Yes.
Yes.
What else could you want?
What else could you want? Well, people might want to know how they can contact us, Scott.
Well, if you want to contact us, you can either send us a tweet at the Audio Podcast. The best way is probably to email us, though, show@theaudiopodcast.co.uk. But you'll also find us on Facebook and Google Plus as well.
Hey.
How about
Ho,
that?
ho, ho, even though we're nowhere near
Christmas.
So, yeah, thanks for listening to the audio podcast. I've been Adam Yanch.
I've been Scott here. This has been the Audio Podcast, show 147. Goodbye.
Laters.
Wow.